episode. Very simple, but we got to see some people talk down the line on the final two and who they want to sit next to and stuff like that. So I hit the live button. We'll see if people start to trickle in, but whoever's here right now, welcome. I am back again with two people who have been on these live shows before. This is their second time around. We have Madison, a future Syrvivor Syracuse player. You'll see her probably at the end of 2021. She'll be in that season. And then we have Brenda, who, remind me if I'm wrong, you were on the production team for Ball State, for Ball Viver. So she's back going to talk about the episode that you guys had to watch tonight. So Sharu, welcome. So welcome Sharu, welcome everyone. Thank you guys for coming. I was just explaining to them, but I didn't plan to do this live show because Sean, the exit tonight, couldn't make it. He can make it next week, but not this week. But we're here. We're going to talk about the episode. It's a very simple episode, but there's a lot to talk about. And let's get going. So first, straight off the bat, we have the loved ones little thing. I don't know if there's any other college that has done the loved ones segment, but we see bits and pieces of each of their loved ones send in little videos of them rooting on for each other. They do a little scripted or non-scripted hug montage. What did you guys think of having the loved ones there?
I loved it personally. I am just a sucker for it in the real show Syrvivor, so it was neat to see that in Syrvivor Syracuse version. Me being very pure Team Mike, I enjoyed his friend's intro and the man hug. It was just a very powerful moment.
Oh yeah. And Brenda, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a nice spin on a college Survivor because I haven't seen that myself either. I was kind of hoping to see like a parent maybe drive down and to be the person coming out. I thought that would have been a fun twist, or like a sibling. But I think it was nice, like their friends on campus coming to support them.
No, yeah, it was so tough because this was the week before COVID. So this is the week before like all schools shut down and stuff like that. So like things started to trickle in about, spreading and shit. And then some parents didn't want to come up. We originally had, if I was right, like two parents, one boyfriend, Summer's boyfriend, and then two brothers. I think both of Austin's brothers were going to come. But sadly, we had to change that around very last minute and try to get some of their friends in, which worked out well. My parents, the brave souls that they are, did come up though. So that's always fun. Love them to death. They were there watching the episode as it was filmed. But that said, we go through who is your favorite pair of the loved ones?
I liked Summer and her friend. I think they were a good pair. I'm not a big fan of Summer in the game, but I thought they were a fun pair.
Okay.
Yeah, I really liked Summer and her roommate. At the time, I thought it was funny how she said that they practiced ahead of time. They had the blindfolds practice. I'm sorry. I felt bad that it didn't work out for her because I thought they were ready. They came prepared.
Oh, yeah. Speaking about that, crushing way to go. So we had a newlywed thing. There was something wrong with the edit. Not the edit, but there was something wrong with the filming that we didn't get one side of the edit, which sucks. But we skipped over that newlywed part, and then we had the final three, which was Summer, Mike, Austin. Summer's in the lead for the entire time. I'm kind of like giddy because I'm like, oh shit, things are going to like move around, I think, if someone on that side wins immunity. And then boom, right on the last ball, right on the rim of the bucket, she misses. How did you guys view that while watching it?
Devastating for her. I think I even said during the live, I was just like, I felt for her. I was like, that's a mood for 2020. I just felt horrible for Summer, but you're right. That would have been a huge change in the game if Austin would not have won, but he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought I was upset for Summer because like they were so far in advance. I was also like rooting for Mike because I'm like, they can come back. I'm like, Or was it? No, it was Austin. Maybe I don't
It
remember.
was awesome, yeah.
I was rooting for either of them, just not Summer. But I thought that was a perfect opportunity for them to come back.
No, yeah, Summer was so far ahead, and like Austin and Dylan, I remember his name. They were like doing this methodical approach about like holding the plank at the same spot, and it just took way too slow. And Summer was booming ahead. I thought she had it. It was, and you saw Joe Sacamano was the filmer for Summer, and he was laughing when Summer dropped the ball. It was just, it was so brutal. And then afterwards, she was lying on the ground. I felt so bad. Rip. So Austin wins the challenge. Good on Austin. Doesn't have to get an idol played on him this week. And he gives his idol clue to Geneva, who has found 3 idols prior. What do you think about this decision of Austin giving the idol clue to Geneva and trying to make this relationship with Geneva?
Smart move. I mean, Geneva's been killing the strategic game, and she's been basically surviving week in, week out. And I think that's a good person to have on your side, strategy-wise, to have her there. Plus, Austin has all those past instances of people playing the idol for him. So maybe he's thinking ahead and like, hey, Geneva seems to be pretty good at finding idols at this point. Maybe if I give her the clue, she would be okay with playing it for me.
It's good insight.
Yeah, I think Austin was trying to build a better relationship with Geneva because we know that Derek and Mike, they're a final 2. They're pretty solid. And maybe Austin was feeling like he was the third wheel. Maybe he did need to form a closer relationship with somebody in that alliance of 5.
Fair enough. No, yeah. So we go into this episode. It's 5-3. Erica, Summer, and Sean on one side, and then the majority 5 that's been ruling for the past 4 weeks with all the idol plays and stuff like that. Austin, Derek, Addie, Geneva, and Mike. So like Brenda alluded, Mike and Derek are pretty much a 2, as we see. Mike says about Derek, Derek's my shield, but at Final 4, if I win immunity, I'm just going to tell Derek, I got to vote you out. You're going to beat me. Derek never really talks about it, but is like, Mike's my rock. How do you view Mike and Derek, and do you think they have the power to make it to the end together, being the biggest threats right now?
I think the chances that they're both going to make it is small, just because Survivor, there's always something that happens with big duos like that. It's pretty obvious that they're working close together. They've been helping each other out, which I think is awesome because, again, I'm Team Mike. But if I was playing, I'd be wary of that. So.
Yeah, and I feel like at this point in the game, there's still a lot of like big threats though in the game. Like Derek and Mike are both seen as big threats from like the other side. But if you think about it, like Summer, she's played a really strategic game. Geneva, a lot of people are like, well, I mean, I know they don't like Geneva in general for the game, but like if she did get to final 2, now it is, and the jury was fair, I think she could totally win the game. So I feel like they're going to want to get rid of her eventually.
Fair. So within this episode, each 3 of the people on the outs kind of try to make a plan to save themselves. So we'll walk through each of them. I have a little note here. So Summer tries to talk to Derek and Mike at first, trying with Sean to try to get them to flip to vote on Addie or Geneva. Do you think Derek and Mike should have joined Sean and Summer to flip on Addie and Geneva, or do you think they made the right choice?
I think at this point they made the right choice. I think something's going to have to happen down the line if they really want to keep on being together in the game. But it was kind of confusing for me watching. I wasn't exactly sure what was going on, but the fact that Mike in his blog talked and was like heavily considering it, I think speaks to Summer's trying to persuade him to come over to their side.
Yeah, I think it was too early to flip. But also, I really can't see Mike flipping unless something like serious goes down. Because when they became like a merged tribe, Mike did flip on. He was on that like other side of the alliance, but he saw that he was on the bottom, so that's why he made that choice to move back. So I don't see him unless Derek is like, we really need to do this. I don't think Mike would really listen.
Would you say that based on what we've seen in this episode, we could safely say that Derek and Mike are kind of like the top two dogs. Austin's kind of floating in the middle, and then Addie and Geneva, the jury kind of hates them, and stuff like that. Do you think that Geneva and Addie have more flexibility than say Mike or Derek to flip because they are on the bottom?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's really, it's not easy. It's never easy to flip in any way. There's always just so many layers to it. But I think once you have 6 people left in the game, it's a lot more easy if you are on the bottom and don't have a lot of people who you're super close with, because you can kind of pick who you want to be sitting next to at the end, in an effort.
Yeah, and we heard part of the conversation in Mike's confessional where he was saying that Addie believes that Geneva's going to flip. I think it was next vote. So that'll be interesting to see more confessionals on that and if that's actually going to happen so soon.
Oh yeah. And a part of that is Erica's plan this week. So Erica's plan is to text the opposite people from Summer and Sean. She texted Austin, Addie, and Geneva, telling them, hey, Derek and Mike are going to win this game. If they're in the end, they're getting my vote. She specifically first sold out. We'll talk to Austin and was like, Austin, you are the third best at challenges between these 3. In order for you to win, you have to take these 2 out. You can beat Geneva and Addie if you make it there. What do you think about Erica's move here? Do you think it was smart? As well as, do you think Austin should have thought about it more and been like, maybe they're right? I mean, it's tough to say because it is like an 8-person, and like, I mean, if I were playing in the game, no chance I would flip. Like, at that rate, like if Summer, Erica, or Sean makes to the end, they're winning. Like, it's simple as that. I don't know. What did you guys think with Austin? Do you think Erica made valid points?
I mean, I think she's trying to save herself in the game because she knows she's in the minority. And I mean, I would do the same thing. But for Austin, like, he's in that alliance of 5. He feels really good at the moment. And they've had 3 successful tribal councils in a row, and where they've been in the majority. Somehow it has worked for them, and I think they're still thriving off of that energy, and they didn't want to flip just yet because they'd rather it get to the 5 of them and then have to turn.
Yeah, I think it's scary if you are in the majority, when there's dwindling numbers left in the game. It's just easy to kind of look at who's currently in the jury and be like, oh, I voted that person out, I voted that person out, but this person's still in the game, and I think they're going to get all of those votes. So I think it's smart that Erica's thinking down the line like that, but maybe telling everyone that might be a little bit scary, because now they know what you're thinking, and it might come back and bite her.
Fair. So Erica also texts Geneva and Addie, and Geneva's first in the confessional, edit. And she says, I don't believe what Erica's saying. If I make it to the end with the guys, it's up to my jury speech. And I've played the game. I've made the strong moves. If the jury doesn't vote for me in the end to win, they're just disrespecting the game, and I should have won. Do you guys agree with that? Do you guys think that, like, it comes down to the speech at the end?
Yeah, I like to think people look at players from a more holistic perspective, and they see, oh, this is the times that I've spoken with this player in the game, and this is kind of how they play, and then they compare anyone who's sitting in that final tribal council. But yeah, I think especially if some people even have a sliver of doubt in their mind as to who they want to vote for, that speech is everything. And I think if you mess that up, it can be disastrous.
Here's a follow-up question. Brenda, you can add on to this too, to the previous question I asked. Do you think, like, if Geneva makes it to the end, do you think the jury is like, okay, 100% Geneva is not getting my vote? Or do you think that's just guff? that they're just salty?
It's hard to tell. I like to think that they'd vote for her. Again, there's still time left in the game for people to make big moves and maybe change the game around. But as of now, I do agree. Like, Geneva's played the strongest game, and she's had to really fight for her spot. But I don't know. People can be salty, and yeah, people be salty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, Geneva's played a great game, and I feel like with the jury, by the time like that final vote comes to decide who wins, you know, at that point they've all calmed down, like after being voted out. Because when you're voted out, like you're passionate, you're fired up, you're upset, but like once you let it sink in and you think about like the experience you had in the game as a whole, that definitely contributes to how it is. And I mean, I'm sure jury members talk to each other to compare their games and like what kind of information they received. But yeah, the speech at the end, I think it's super important because when you first started the game, you're not thinking like, I mean, yeah, you're thinking strategy, but like you're just wanting to get to know everybody. But there's little game moves. Like at the beginning, Derek, I don't know how Derek's still here after that first episode where he lied to everyone about the about being the snake. And Addie, like, she that even though she did the whole text messaging thing. So like, it's kind of interesting how those things I feel like should have got them a little more in trouble for like votes against, but they survived somehow.
Yeah. In the words of Hannah Montana, everybody makes mistakes. And I think in this season, we've seen that in some form by every player. So I do think that's an interesting note that Brenda made. Like, this is a forgiving season for the most part. People are continuing playing despite the drama that has happened, and the fact that Derek is still in the game and he's kind of chilling right now. I don't know.
It's crazy. The uprising of each player on the majority right now is like Derek was 100% going to be voted off first of the season. I was so sad that day when I woke up. And then I was like, oh shit, they're targeting Aaron now? Like, what the hell happened? And boom, he's in the final, what is it, 8 now. All right, so let's talk about Addie a little bit. So Addie comes onto the confessional screen, and she's like, I don't know what Erica is saying. Like, I'm not getting any of the credit. Me and Geneva are playing this game hard, and if we make it to the end, we're gonna get no votes, and it just sickens me. Do you guys agree with Addie here? I mean, Addie, yes, did make those text messages, and she did have that move, but do you think that like soils her chances? And how much of this like college Survivor game is based on like social moves? You know what I mean? You kind of, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think in college Survivor, it's easier almost to upset people because you have text messages and you have receipts. And when you're on an island in the middle of nowhere, you can't like ask the guy recording to kind of show that to another player. But in theory, in college Survivor, you can do that. And I don't know, like, I think Addie has the right to be angry with the thought of people being salty and not thinking of her and Geneva as big players just because they don't like them or they haven't been playing with them up until that point. But again, people be salty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing when she said that, I was like, what has Addie done in the game though? Because she's grouping herself with Geneva, and I'm like, but Geneva's made all the big moves. I mean, I can't think of one. I mean, I'm sure Addie has done something. I just can't remember. What was one significant move that she made on her own?
Good points.
I do feel, I get the feeling that Addie behind the scenes is really working hard and kind of talking to a lot of people. I don't think the edit kind of shows that, but just based off of people's conversations about Addie, I think she's doing a lot of behind the scenes work. But sorry to cut you off, Luke.
No, you're good. No, and that's valid. I mean, we don't see, of course I'm the editor, but we don't see all of the things that happen behind the screen. That's evident to the real Survivor as well. With that said, where was I going with this? So we move forward to the episode. Sean and Summer are kind of the two people that are floating around on who to take out. And then Mike comes back on our screen and is like, I want Sean out. He's the best physical threat. And if he wins the challenge, it could be an opportunity for them to flip. And Geneva calls Addie and says she wants Summer out because Geneva texted Addie saying she might flip next round. And Addie goes straight to Mike saying, I want to play with you. What did you think of this whole entire situation?
I mean, I think it was a good situation. I mean, I was I saw Summer as more of a threat than Sean, because Sean, yes, he was in the previous season, but Summer had more strategic moves. Unlike where Sean, he joined the game and he stuck with that same alliance the whole time. He didn't really venture out to get to know other people on that other alliance. But Summer did do that. She tried to flip Geneva and Abby previously to their side, and that didn't work. So they have that communication connection, but so I understand Addie wanting to get Summer out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I watched season 1. I saw that Sean is indeed a huge physical threat and can win lots of challenges. So gotta say, like, he wasn't wrong by saying that. I think Sean was a good person to get out, because who knows, he could have won every single immunity challenge from here on out, and then that's really hard to go up against in the jury. So wasn't a bad move by any means, but also Summer has been in the game kind of the whole time, and I don't know, I think more people dislike Summer and not many people dislike Sean. So kind of he might be a threat if he made it to final 3 or 2.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And if I can speak to anything with the remaining challenges left, if Sean stayed in the game, he could have won. He could have easily won all these challenges, especially the next one, which is a physical challenge. He could have easily won out. And that's what he almost did in his season in season 1. This was the same exact scenario. It was a 5-2 with him and Logan on the outs, and he just kept on winning. And then people started to flip on his side, and Logan and him stayed in. And I don't know. Check out season 1. I miss Sean to death. Great player. Even though he was a returnee, like, no one viewed him as a returnee. He was just this nice presence. And seeing Sean go here, actually, what do you guys think? What did you guys think when Sean was the one to go home?
I was sad. Actually, Sean was in my very first class at Syracuse. Shout out Spanish 101. Oh. So I was sad to see him go, but I totally get why the players decided to do that. Like, I would have been so scared going up against him with physical challenges on the line. So.
Mm-hmm. And Brenda, how did you view Sean going home?
I was kind of indifferent to it. I mean, I felt like he could have been like the last one out of the 3 to be going home, because like Erica is a big threat. I feel like she played a good game around the time that the merge happened, but she kind of like shallowed out throughout the game. Like, she wasn't as big of a threat as she was before. But Sean just kind of remained neutral the whole time.
Sure. And this is a good point brought up by Thomas. Welcome, Thomas. So why does Addie keep throwing Geneva under the bus? So I actually want to bring up this point. So we have the 5. We know Mike and Derek are close. We know Austin's kind of in the middle. And then we have Geneva and Addie, who the jury don't like. That being said, Addie keeps throwing Geneva under the bus. So where do you see Addie kind of leaning towards? Does she lean more towards Geneva, or does she lean more towards Mike?
I think she's loyal to Geneva. I think she just has some frustrations with people just kind of acknowledging Geneva as like the alpha player maybe in their alliance, and there can be frustration with that. So, but I think she's loyal to Geneva. I can't see that falling apart, and I certainly don't think that she'd leave Geneva for Mike, but maybe I'm wrong.
Good point.
Yeah, I didn't view it as Addie throwing Geneva under the bus. I just thought she was looking out for her own gameplay, because she's like, okay, we're good for this tribal, but like next time Geneva has the opportunity to do this. And like knowing the game that she's played so far, is she willing to take that step? So she kind of just wanted to like alert her alliance and be like, hey, this is a potential threat that could happen next time.
Yeah.
So I think that was smart of her.
That's interesting. And Joe Sacamano, our resident filmer, Sean deserved to go home. Goddamn, Joe. Don't say that. Don't curse Sean out like that. Sean has a clause in the contract now that he'll play another season of Survivor Syracuse. But he graduated, so that will never happen.
Sad.
Little inside joke. Very sad. Very sad. With that said, so we move on to the next episode. We have Summer, Erica, and then the 5 majority. What do you view from here? Do you have any predictions on what could happen? Do you think Geneva flipping could happen? And if so, does she have enough numbers to flip? Do you see Austin flipping with Erica? Do you see Derek or Mike or Addie flipping? What do you think? Or do you think Summer and Erica are just next?
I think the only pair that I see not breaking despite anything would be Mike and Derek. I think those two are very, very loyal to each other. And if that stops, I'm going to be super, super, super surprised. But yeah, everyone is in a situation where some people are better off than others, but no one's like set right now. So the possibility of flipping can come from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is exactly what Addie said. Geneva's going to want to flip with Addie. Like, that's the only possibility I could see, because Austin's not going to flip. Like, Austin's like the individual within the 5 alliance. Like, he's not really paired with anybody. And I think Addie will let Geneva believe that they're flipping together. And that's when the blind side will come in. They'll be like, oh, well, you were going to do that, but, we didn't want that as a group of 4, so we didn't allow it.
Yeah. So based on the 5 in majority, I think Brenda alluded to a little bit, who do you think is in the best position? So we have Derek using Mike as a shield. We have Mike using Derek as a shield. They're both on top. We have Austin, who's kind of floating around the middle, who doesn't have a pair. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. We have Geneva, who in my eyes has the strongest game, but she's not as respected in the jury, but she probably has the best chances to flip. And then you have Addie, who I don't really know. And then you have Addie. Where do you guys think, who's in the best position based on where they are in the 5? Or is it too soon to tell?
I think Mike, because he's been pretty loyal to a lot of people, and he's lied, but it hasn't been horribly done. And I don't know, I think he can play off being a very genuine person, because he is a genuine person, but in Survivor you have to lie sometimes. So I don't know, I think Mike's in a good spot and Derek there with him. I don't think Addie's in the best spot right now because she's just kind of disliked, but who knows?
Yeah, I was going to say either Mike or Derek too, because I was thinking Derek, but then I'm like, does Geneva ever tell Derek of like the idol clues? Is Derek idol hunting? Like,
they all share it.
Yeah, but I'm like, Mike is more like the in-between guy between the alliances, because you have like the guys and then you have the girls, and Mike, he has no problem with talking to any of them, and he's the information collector, and I think that was mentioned in last week's episode.
Mm-hmm.
So he's getting all the information. He's had Geneva gave him an idol for the one tribal to play on Austin.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think he's in the best spot.
For sure. Shabru says, I think Summer is next. Final 6 onwards is going to be a big scramble, however. So say that Summer or Erica don't win next Challenges Immunity. Who do you think is most likely to go home out of those 2?
Between Summer and Addie?
Erica.
Summer and Erica. I think Erica. I don't know. It's just a feeling. I don't even really have a good reasoning for that. I just have a feeling Erica's going to go next. I think she's going to, I don't know. It also depends who wins the challenge. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say Erica also, because if Geneva does try to side with Summer and then Addie joins, in quotes, then they would have to vote for Erica because they're not going to want to vote for somebody in their own alliance.
It's tough. It's tough. It's this is where the going gets tough. With 7 people left, especially 2 on the outs, 5 on the majority. So we'll see what happens. But a big thing that's coming up, not in next week's episode. Next week's episode is the final one. But we have COVID. Woo! Yay! Oh, sad. So if you guys don't know, whoever's listening or viewers at home, whatever, COVID comes up in this episode, which is why the parents couldn't make it or the brothers couldn't make it. Next episode is the last one that's in person, as well as tribal council, and then we move entirely online because the university forced us to move out, which, health precautions and stuff is accurate. That said, with a Zoom kind of season, how do you think that will affect the game? Not being able to meet with people, probably not having the most physical challenges you could assume. What do you think?
It's going to be all about the receipts. There's going to be a lot of texting. I feel like there's going to be a lot of Zooming, or maybe this was the days before Zoom and it's just going to be regular old FaceTime. But I think there's just going to be more accountability for what people say. And there's going to be more kind of, oh, this person said this, let me send this there. So they know that's happening. And I think very strong relationships could crumble with that. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and I think that going online, it breaks the idea of, I accidentally ran into this person in the dining court, and we talked about this because it's just something that should have been brought up. So little conversations that were happening might not happen now unless they're deemed very important. Yeah,
and it's so tough because, in season 3, this also happens because, COVID's still around in season 3. But there's nothing. Like, it's not the same when it's over FaceTime, I feel like. I don't know about you guys. But to me, it's not the same when it's over FaceTime. It's easier to lie over text and stuff like that. But when you're actually face-to-face with a person talking to them, it's different. So it'll be very interesting to see. Thomas says, if Summer wants Geneva to flip, why did she write her name so aggressive? Lol. I actually have some insight on this. So... Geneva texted me. She's at a mini sequester game right now with fellow contestant Jack. She texted me that Summer and Erica texted her last minute and wanted to vote out Derica with them, but she said no. Her and Addie wouldn't do it. Simple as that. So the fact that she said no, Summer already knew it was either her or Sean at that point. It was just the last second shot. Who knows? But that's why I think she wrote down Geneva's name, and Geneva never flipped with her in the past. So I think Erica said it in her confessional. They wrote down the names that they disliked the most, and we saw that with Sean's. I don't like you, Addie. Cut this, Luke. And then he's like, never mind. Don't cut this. I'll be gone. But yeah.
That was a good question.
Very good question, Thomas. It'll be like an org. It will be like an org, Jacob. And if anyone has any orgs out there, I am ready to play again. I finished in 5th and 4th. Absolutely robbed. The only thing, it has to be a final 3 final. So I make it. That's the only thing. What else? What else is there? Do you guys have anything that you want to bring up in this episode?
Well, I feel like this episode we didn't hear that much from Derek. I was just we got his new house bathroom vlogs, but I was just kind of wondering if he was tracking on the possibility of Mike thinking about some talking to other people, but I don't know. I don't know really how he's feeling right now.
Do you guys agree that Derek really hasn't done anything? With Addie saying that Derek hasn't done anything? Like, what has Derek done? He got saved by a snake advantage. That's pretty much it. And why is he getting this, like, I'm the biggest threat?
Yeah, I think it's that partnership with Mike that's kind of pushed him to the top. But Addie's not wrong. But also, I feel like just from the viewer's perspective, Derek's and Addie's game are not that different. So
Yeah.
Mike's just this chiseled god, I guess.
absolutely, Team Mike.
Gotta love the kid. If there was a player like myself, it would be Mike, because I'd be so paranoid in all of my vlogs, similar to Mike, when there's no reason to be paranoid. Oh my god. Mike literally, when editing this episode, it was like a while ago, but when editing this, Mike has like 10 vlogs of him just like scrambling all around. And it's just like, it's the simplest vote of the entire season. I'm pretty sure this episode is probably it was so simple, so clear cut. It was the first one of this entire season, which is like, wow. But
yeah. But they worked hard to get to the spot that their alliance was in order to make an easy vote.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
do you guys think? You go, Brenda.
I was gonna say, with idols, I don't think, does anybody have an idol currently? I know there was the idol clue given out tonight.
Yes,
I haven't been found yet, so that probably will be like the last idol in play.
What is it? The final 7 right now, so they have 2 more chances.
Yeah.
Technically to find idol. Yeah, I made this one very hard because there's a lot of idols, so they didn't find it on day 1.
They were all like, "What?" They're like, "It should have been here."
Yeah.
I know. The idol hunters this season were insane. Do you guys think someone will flip next episode at 7, or do you think 6, or do you think they'll stay together as a 5?
Definitely by 6. I feel like someone's going to be flipped. But there's a possibility it'll happen at 7, especially with knowing that they're going online. I don't know if you guys knew or if it was a quick like, oh, we're going to be online next week, but maybe that could change something too.
Oh, not next week. They're going to be online. Like next.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But like they maybe see it coming. And they're like,
oh yeah.
No, I think that could impact it, because they might not want to like backstab anybody in their alliance while they're in person, because then they got to still see them. But like maybe if they're online, they're like, well, it's okay because we're at a distance now.
Mm-hmm.
That could play into it.
Fair enough. And I want to say this to the viewers at home. The online challenges are great. Don't worry, you will not be bored. Plus, the vlogs are still at their own houses, pretty much. So it's similar to the actual episode. That said, we also get revealed that it's a final 2 this season. So who do you think would be in a final 2 right now?
right now, Mike and Derek.
Interesting. You think they'll both take each other?
Well, that's just the thing with like, no, actually, I don't think that's going to work out. I think they want that to happen, but I think I'm confusing them having the most close relationship with making it to the end. But I think it's going to be, I think Austin's going to make it somehow.
Yeah, I was going to say Austin and Mike, because Derek is Mike's shield, so Mike can make it to the end. And Austin, they know everybody on the jury doesn't like Austin, so it's no trouble to just push him along, because in that final 2, Mike's going to win.
Austin and Mike seem to have drifted apart a little since Erica flipped on them. Mike and Austin, I'd say, with Mike winning. We got some Mikes in the chat. Mike and Austin would be a great final 2. Nassan and Mitch would have been a great final 2 as well.
That's what I'm saying.
Some robbed kings and queens.
That's what I'm saying.
Daisy. I can't wait till Rites of Passage where I have to speak about them one last time. Daisy, Meg, Hannah. Remember when Hannah was in the season? Holy moly. Jack. Remember him? God, damn. There's no more villains. Who's the remaining villains? Summer?
Geneva deep down. Geneva. She's going to snap.
Geneva. Derek's the villain. It's crazy how this season has gone along. It really is. And it's also crazy that Zeleny, out of the 7 left, there's 5 Zeleny people and 2 Maroon 9 people, which is crazy itself. Also, some other awards. This is the first time Geneva has had her name written down for all of those tribal councils that she's been to. Let me just put that out there. And also Summer. I mean, she hasn't been to as much tribal councils, but she's never had her name down written yet. What do you guys view of that?
My milestones. Maybe that'll make them worried moving forward.
Yeah, I think Geneva was kind of shocked. Like, she's like, 2 votes? Like, what's going on, guys? She's looking around, and I'm like, Geneva, it's not you going home. But, like, I'm like, beware. It could happen soon.
Yeah, she
She
couldn't
was
pull
just
off.
so shocked, and I was like, hold on. That happens sometimes.
I famously made it to Final Four with no votes written down for me. But then I got voted out at 4. So, it happens. No one can be perfect. With that said, I guess if no one knows, Sean can't make it tonight, but he will be joining whoever gets voted off next week in the live show then. That said, Madison and Brenda both don't know who wins. So what was your guys' winner's pick before, and has it changed? And what is your winner's pick now?
My winner's pick before was Mike, and I'm still Team Mike all the way, but I just have this feeling that something's going to happen, and I think Austin's going to kind of slip under the cracks there, and he's going to come out with the W. So,
and say your final 2 if the winner's pick. So do you think Austin beats out Mike in the final 2, or?
Yeah. I don't know, but I think Mike and Austin are going to make it to the end, and I think Austin's going to
Interesting.
come out with the W.
Interesting. Brenda?
Yeah, so my winner's pick was Geneva. I still hope Geneva gets to the final 2. I don't think she's going to make it. I think the final 2 will definitely have Mike in it. And honestly, maybe even like Addie or Austin, one of the 2, with Mike being the winner.
Yeah, we got a lot of mics around the board. Look at that. Well, if you want some insight, after next week's episode, when we go to Zoom, I felt bad because we were going to Zoom and I thought the season was going to go to shit, but it doesn't. Don't worry. I filmed a nice little final 6. Who do I think's going to win at that point? So you guys will get to see that next week after the after show. So you get to see where my head's at and see if I get it right. Let it be known that season 1, my winner's pick was the first one voted out.
Nice.
And also this season, my winner's pick was Nassan, and he was second. So, it's not looking too hot for me. But yeah. That said, we'll see if your winner's picks pull it off. That said, thank you once again, Madison and Brenda. Oh wait, hold on. Let's go through the comments. Why not? Sharu, I would love Austin to win, but to me, Mike has a better shot. Interesting. We have some Austin fans. I think it's Mike as my number 1. Mike and Austin are my top contenders, and I'm debating back and forth. Mike and Austin have a great freshman relationship. I remember when they were in the freshman 3. It's cute. Can't wait for that. Geneva was robbed. That's for sure. It's Mitch Geneva. Mitch and Geneva could have been the Java this season, 100%. Let it also be known, I will spoil this. They're not together anymore. But hopefully they're not going to crucify me after this post show is over and see this. But in season 1, Ava and Sean actually did date for a little bit. So Shava was a thing. So Jacob, I don't know how you feel about that, but Shava was a thing for a bit. I think they were even talking to each other during this episode, when this was filming. So yeah,
That's cute.
Very cute. I want to wait until Jacob replies to that. I want to see what he says. Oh, with that said, actually, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to talk about what you want to talk about. So, Madison, I'll start with you. Solo layout. You're on.
Hi. I don't have much. I feel like I've spoken everything I wanted to say for this episode, but I enjoy participating in the post shows, and my Instagram is @MadisonABrownie if you would like to follow. I try to produce nice content, and I'm a big Syrvivor fan, so anyone wants to talk about the game, all for that.
Love it. And you guys will get to see Madison on season 3 of Syrvivor Syracuse, as well as some other people that have joined the stream before. Thank you, Madison. And Brenda, your turn.
Yeah, so still waiting on Syrvivor season 1 to come out. Still looking for updates on that. But if you guys know, like Luke said, of any online Survivor games happening soon for college students, drop them in the comments because I'm interested in getting back in the game too.
I low-key might start one, honestly. It might be
Honestly, I would do that. Like I would enjoy that.
I might text you later then. Who knows? Might be in talks. But with that said, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Madison and Brenda, for coming out. Even though the season does go to Zoom, trust me, tell your friends. It's great. The season ends wildly. You do not want to miss it. And yeah, check out other college survivors as well. I just watched Survivor Boston. That elimination was wild. Jacob was there. But yeah, have a good night, everyone. Stay safe, and we will see you next week.
Good night.